Welcome back, Canonites, for a quick video on the Halo TV series. This past Saturday, IGN held Fan Fest 2020, which, among other things, included a panel with actors and crew on the upcoming Halo TV series. I've linked to the full panel in the description below and to the card at the top right if you want to see everything in its original context. I won't be covering everything the actors and crew discussed, only the stuff I found most interesting as a lore fan. There is some great banter in the video, especially anytime Bokeem Woodbine is speaking, so it's definitely worth watching. Otherwise, here are my big takeaways from this Fan Fest panel. Over the course of the panel, IGN host Ryan McCaffrey asks a number of questions, starting with one I know many fans have been asking in recent years, whether Spielberg is still involved in the project. 343's Kiki Wolfkill confirms that Steven Spielberg is still involved, though to what extent isn't said. From there, the panel hops around quite a bit, covering a number of topics, so I've just kind of organized everything for the sake of presentation. Starting with general production notes, director Otto Bathurst reveals that Kiki Wolfkill and Frank O'Connor prepped the crew for how Halo fans would react, noting how they'd absolutely break down every frame of each episode. Taking that to heart, the director revealed that the show is filled with Easter eggs and challenged the community to find them when the show debuts. Consider that challenge accepted. When asked how the show has approached the Covenant, the director reveals that they went as practically as possible with the aliens, mixed with CG naturally. Whenever there is, quote, alien action, there is a person doing the movement, according to the director. Music for the show is being composed by Sean Callery, and the soundtrack will feature a mix of original music with familiar elements integrated, something hardly new to Halo. I do not envy the task of Mr. Callery, though given his work on Jessica Jones, I'm cautiously optimistic. Wrapping up the production notes, Kiki Wolfkill informs us that there will be an episode that has something to do with sevens on some level. Details were scarce naturally, but for anyone who might be confused, the number 7 appears throughout Halo a lot. An Easter egg started by earlier Bungie titles, the 7 Easter eggs have since become a part of Halo's DNA for many. The Halo TV show will premiere on March 24th, just about a month away, though until now I haven't really followed its international release news all that closely. Sadly, as was also revealed in the recent Season 2 confirmation post on Halo Waypoint, a good part of the international market will have to wait longer to watch the show. March 24th will see the show released in the US, Canada, Latin America, the Nordics, and Australia on Paramount+. In addition, Sky, a British broadcasting company, will broadcast the show in Italy and Germany, while the show will be available in France via a service called Canal+. If your country or region wasn't discussed here, then you'll sadly have to wait for Paramount Plus to launch in your country, or think about investing in a VPN. And no, that isn't an ad, that's just an honest suggestion. From there, we'll shift focus onto what's said of the characters and actors. The panel featured 5 of the show's core cast: Pablo Schreiber, the Master Chief himself, Natasha Kolzak, who plays Spartan Riz 028, Natasha Mcelhone, who portrays Dr. Halsey, Bokeem Woodbine, the rogue Spartan Soren 066, and Jen Taylor, who will voice Cortana. As before, the panel jumps around a lot during the video, so I've reorganized everything for the sake of presentation. Starting with Pablo Schreiber, he notes that he is very excited to play the Chief, and notes that while he'd played Halo a bit as a teen, he never got all that into it. Once he was cast as the Chief, he jumped back into the franchise and, to my delight, found himself sucked in by Halo's vast universe and lore. Pablo Schreiber is a total lore junkie, and I love it. Regarding the Chief as a character, it's noted that the TV show will take a look at who the Chief is under the armor and under the helmet, which does seem to indicate that we'll see the Master Chief's unhelmeted face in the series. I don't think this should be too big of a surprise for most people, and I'm somewhat excited for how that might be handled. As I've noted in the past, so long as the Chief isn't constantly in his full armor while fellow Spartans are hanging around with their helmets off, I'm good. Next up, we have Natasha Kolzak, who will portray Riz 028. Kolzak describes Riz as a, quote, fearless, raging killer, which I figure probably means a cold and calculating sort of character. Riz is additionally confirmed to be a comms and CQC specialist. For research, Kolzak notes that she also dove into the games and lore as much as she could, playing several of the games and reading a few of the graphic novels. Bokeem Woodbine's character prep is fairly unique compared to his fellow Spartans, something I think best experienced in the video itself. Check around the 22:45 mark. As for the character himself, Woodbine describes Soren as an enterprising and entrepreneurial individual, a lovable rogue, as he puts it. Interestingly, Woodbine also reveals that Soren seems to have his own ship in this show. Perhaps this is Pelican 325 that we keep seeing in the trailers, maybe it's his own freighter or something we haven't seen in Halo before. Whatever it is, I'm excited to see it. Finally, we come to Natasha Mcelhone, Dr. Halsey herself. When describing her characterization in Season 1, Mcelhone seems to indicate that Halsey will be a layered character much like her core canon counterpart. Quote, "We can't quite categorize her, there's something slightly inscrutable about her, that she's up to the devil's work but it's not entirely manifest in the first season." For research, Mcelhone studied anything she could on AI, even talking to experts on the subject, a few of which were also Halo fans, to get into the mindset of someone who would be the creator of a powerful AI. And with that, we can basically wrap this video up. As noted, I didn't cover every little detail covered here, just the more interesting stuff. If you want some fun banter and have 30 minutes to spare, definitely check out the original video. Otherwise, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this latest information. Stick around for that Patreon shoutout, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. First, I'd like to give a big thank you to our Horospus patrons. First, there's Hope, then we have Freight, Discombobulated Sycophant, Justin Montgomery, Man in the Dark, Keisha Dila, Daddy Anarchy, Great Scott Productions, Jumpy Sucks Balls, Ever Corrado, and Bumbling Fool 912 Paul K. Thank you all for your amazing support of the channel. Next, I'd like to thank our theoretical patrons. If you'd like to see your name here or get a direct shoutout, check out patreon.com/halocanon. You can simply support the channel or get additional benefits, such as behind-the-scenes materials, including raw audio for upcoming videos, or even shoutouts like this. All patrons now get early access to certain videos as well, and your Patreon title will appear in the Halo Canon Discord. However, your continued viewership is more than enough for me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and maybe even subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. If you really enjoy my stuff, turn on that notification bell so you can be among the first to see new videos when they release. But for all my fellow Canonites, keep on being awesome.